Everybody, Skeptic Squatch here. Welcome to the new video. Take a look at that because you know what's coming up. Quick word about the scientific process. All right, the scientific process is you create a hypothesis, you test the hypothesis, you find out what's wrong with the hypothesis, and then you just keep going from there until you have a working theory. So, as far as Bigfoot goes, there's no such thing as a theory. There are no theories about Bigfoot. We only have hypotheses. We don't have facts. We don't have hard data. We have anecdotes that all tell kind of the same story. A lot of them have the same characteristics. A lot of the videos you see that are of possibly real Bigfoots, for example, the Patterson-Gimlin footage, the Freeman footage, the Stacy Brown thermal footage. A lot of those have characteristics in common, but that is not hard data. That is, for all intents and purposes, anecdotal. We have nothing to back it up. We have no evidence. We have no way to test the theory. So, as far as Bigfoot goes, we have absolutely no hard evidence, hard data. Nobody does. Nobody is an expert in this field. I do not care what Matt Moneymaker says. He's not an expert. He has a bunch of hypotheses, none of which, in the current state of Bigfootery, can be tested in any way at all. That said, this is a photo that was posted a couple weeks ago in the Bigfoot subreddit by Mr. Matthew Moneymaker himself. And it purports to show what he claims is a real Bigfoot. And there are reasons that he says it is a real Bigfoot, but will not share those reasons because he doesn't want hoaxers to know the methods. Because then they'll assumably be able to make better hoaxes, I guess? I don't know. I don't know what the reasoning is behind that. I'm not Matt Moneymaker. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at this picture and see what there is to see. So, here's what we've got. We've got your subject right here, and he's kind of, as far as we can tell, right near the center of the photo. I'm okay with him being there, because there's something I want to show you a little later on that's going to back up any points that I have to make. I was looking at this photo, and I kind of wanted to do my own sort of analysis about it, and the first thing that I looked at was this down here. It's a spy point camera, which is a little bit of a cheaper or less expensive brand of trail cam that does a bunch of different stuff. But most importantly, spy point does not have a thermal setting. And the coloration on here is all weird. It looks kind of thermal. It's not thermal. I have no idea what this coloration is. As the story goes, this photo came from a hunter who is an elderly person. And him and his wife have this trail cam that they have set up. This is this tripod with a little thing up here is a deer feeding station, in case you don't know. And it's set up there, assumably to attract deer, so they can get photos on their trail cam of deer, or just to see, what comes into the area. And then one day they got this subject on there, and that's, fine. The photo was not sent to the BFRO. A picture of the photo was sent to the BFRO, which is not exactly not sketchy, but it's a little sketchy. So, the story says that the trail point camera, when it switches from day mode to night mode, goes into this little kind of purplish haze for an unknown amount of time, and there it sits, and that is how it and that's what it looks like until it switches over into night mode, where it shows infrared. So that explains the coloration. Maybe there is a post right here from somebody who uses spy point cameras, has 10,000 photos of them, and has never had any purple or any distortion in color. So I don't know if he uses the same brand as this, but spy point cameras have 10,000 photos, never seen purple or any distortion in color. So that's where we are with that. Also, the photo was taken at 11:45 a.m. And I don't know for sure that it's entirely possible that the camera time could be wrong. But why would it be switching to twilight if it's 11:45 a.m.? Also, the sky looks pretty bright. It doesn't look twilighty at all. So it could very well be 11:45 a.m. All right, so that does it for that particular little view there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the subject itself. And here we go. Let's get a nice little close-in view there. Subject walking in the background here, coming up behind the feeder. Don't see any sort of coned head. Could be completely wrong about that. There we go. Could be completely wrong about that because it could just be anything like that. Does look pretty thick and pretty muscular. Does not mean that it's a Bigfoot. Could just be a big guy. Here's assumably an arm, although it could also be, I saw someone point out, it could be a rifle stock, that this is the stock of the rifle, and you can kind of see a little black line there. That might be the muzzle of the rifle. I'm not saying that's the case. I don't know. I kind of have my doubts about that one. What I do not have doubts about, though, is that if this is his arm, and if it is, I could be wrong about that, but if it is his arm, we can see about where it comes down to. We can see that his leg comes up. He's got his knee is right here. He's got his other knee right here because his leg is up. So, bringing these 2 points in together, we can put his hips and waist right about here. And that arm is going to extend not very far past the waist. So it's a totally human proportion. Not necessarily a Bigfoot. Not necessarily a Bigfoot proportion. Some people I have seen said that this right here is part of the top of whatever boot that he's wearing. I don't think that's the case. I think that's more of this tree branch coming down and meeting with his leg and fuzzing. And then as far as it goes, like it's very far away. Okay. And it's all very kind of, you get in close and it starts getting pixelated. So I can't really see any fur coming off of the suit. You can see something over here that looks like fuzzing, but you can also see that fuzzing elsewhere. You can see it along this tree here. You can see it in some other places on the photo. So I'm not entirely sure that that's where we need to go about that. But most importantly, I wanted to find out about this thing here, because this is something, this deer feeding station, because I feel like with the deer feeding station and especially with the ropes around it, that we would be able to figure out at least a rough estimate of the height of the subject right here. So the ropes, as you can see, are tied around the legs, and they're there to secure the legs, to keep them all together. Otherwise the legs would spread out and the whole thing would collapse, because these things can get pretty heavy. You throw a bunch, you fill that thing up with deer feed, and it can get up to a couple 100 to 500 pounds. So these are here to strengthen and stabilize it. All right. You can even see right here, there's like a little like piton or something coming off that's holding the rope in place. And so this was tied there to stabilize it. And if it was tied there to stabilize it, it was tied there by a human who set the tree feeding station up. And when you are tying something up or putting a camera on a tree, you're going to put it up more or less at a level that is easy for you to do it and not super awkward and not weird. All right. So the way I figure it is these ropes and the camera itself are probably about 5 to 6 feet off the ground. That would put these at a good length for a human to tie up. That would also make it a good place for the camera that is on this tree here. Not this tree, but the tree that it's tied to, to get there easily. And that then raises a question of photography that I honestly didn't know the answer to. If you have a camera that is, let's say, 6 feet off the ground, and it's pointed at a rope that is stretched vertically between 2 points, or stretched horizontally between 2 points, and is also 6 feet off the ground, And then behind that, you have a 10-foot pole. And then, behind that, you have a 10-foot pole. Will the rope cut the pole at the 6-foot point of the pole? So I went to the Reddit photography subreddit, and I asked that question. If the camera is 4 feet off the ground, taking a picture of the rope that is horizontal and also 4 feet off the ground so that the rope is in the vertical center of the photograph, is it reasonable to assume that the amount of pole visible beneath the rope is also 4 feet? Is that correct? Yes. And the way I'm reading your final answer, it doesn't matter how far away the pole is, as long as the rope and the camera are both at 4 feet off the ground, the amount of pole visible beneath the rope will be 4 feet. Yes, assuming everything is on the same perfectly flat surface, remaining parallel to the camera to the end of the rope plane. So, we have a camera that is pointing straight out. It's not tilted up, it's not tilted down. We have this rope that is more or less in the vertical center of the photograph. And then we have a subject that is right behind it that is also, whose head also comes up more or less to the vertical center of the photograph. And if this rope is 5 or 6 feet off the ground, then the subject is only 5 or 6 feet tall. Like photography. So, as far as I'm concerned, this subject is 5, 6, maybe 6.5 feet tall. Perfectly normal height, not the 8 to 10 feet tall that you would expect a Bigfoot to be. There is a second picture in this series. I'm not sure how useful it is because it only shows the subject going off over here. And just a couple questions I have about this subject here is this. We have the subject, right? And then you have like his foot here. I believe this is his right foot coming out from behind his left foot. And then you have this area right here is kind of discolored. And it's discolored right on this sharp line here. And I kind of dismissed the idea of the boot in the other photo, but this actually really looks like it might be a boot based on the coloring and the sharp delineation of black to whatever this is here. I'm not saying it is, but I'm not saying it's not. So that's the other photo right there. And then, yeah, so this is the photo that Matt Moneymaker posted and declared unequivocally to definitely 100% be a for real, legit Bigfoot. He also said the same thing about the Sonoma Bigfoot. Go ahead and look up Sonoma Bigfoot because it was Penn and Teller goofing on them to drive home the point that a lot of people in the Bigfoot community aren't good people. So, the Matt Moneymaker BFR photo, I think it's just a person. 5 to 6 feet tall, normal human body proportions. Nothing special about it. Nothing that points to it being a Bigfoot. And hey, Matt Moneymaker, if you see this and you want to come talk about it, I'm happy to talk about it. I really would like to talk to you about it. I want to know what makes you so completely, definitely sure that this is a real Bigfoot. And if you want to reply, I'm happy to have this discussion with you. So anyway, that's it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will hopefully have another video coming up soon, and I will see you then.